Gupta, Research Director of CISDM, an Alternative Investments Research Center at the University of Massachusetts, and also the founding co-sponsor of the Chartered Alternative Investment Analysts Association. We're very pleased to have Dr. Angelo Calvello join us today. Dr. Calvello has had a distinguished career in environmental investing, and he's also the author of Environmental Alpha. He's also the editor of the Journal of Environmental Investing, and we're going to talk about environmental alpha issues today in great detail. Dr. Calvello, welcome.
Thank you, Raj. Good to be here.
About the environmental portfolio, what are the categories, or how should investors go about constructing the environmental portfolio?
Okay. So when I was thinking about the environmental portfolio, I looked at where the sources of greenhouse gases were coming from and decided on 5 major categories of environmental investing. Clean technology is the first, which would include both transportation, stationary fuel, and energy efficiency. Sustainable property. The third one, land use change, and forestry. Those first 3, clean tech, sustainable property, and land use change, and forestry, account for about 95% of all anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So we need to do something with those 3 categories. And they're broad enough to encompass a variety of different investment opportunities, both on the public and private side. The 4th category is carbon. And carbon will be the largest commodity that we have. I started as a commodity trader. I'm bullish on carbon still, in spite of what the U.S. is doing. But carbon will become a major commodity on its own. Additionally, I think of carbon much like I think of currencies in the international or emerging market area. It's kind of a carbon kicker. It's something that comes along with a lot of environmental investments. And then the 5th one is water. And water really doesn't have much to do with greenhouse gas mitigation. It's really related to adaptation. Because first, water is a primordial resource. There's no substitute. And second, the water quantity and water quality will be severely impacted by changes in climate. So those are the 5 for me.
Okay. Now, let's get into you've mentioned socially responsible investing and the distinctions between socially responsible investing and environmental investing. Mm-hmm. Many fiduciaries, many pension funds are starting to think about socially responsible investing. Should they include the environmental component within that, or should that be distinct from their socially responsible part of their portfolios? Or, I mean, if they, sometimes their total portfolio is socially responsible, but how should they go about integrating that?
The integration is a decision they make on their own. It's not one I feel is a necessary feature of environmental investing. I call the book Environmental Alpha. The Journal of Environmental Investing is all about finding these types of alpha-centric investment opportunities. I approach this space and I see it as a very inefficient space right now. We spend a lot of time trying to generate alpha looking at U.S. large cap equities, and it's a very difficult process. It's difficult to gain an edge. But in this space, I'm not saying it's easy to gain an edge, but there's a certain degree of sloppiness. There are managers, for example, that have an informational advantage when it comes to policy, maybe in the U.S., maybe in the EU, and they understand more about policy as it relates to solar or wind or offshore drilling, and they could figure out, using that informational advantage, opportunities in the marketplace. It's their edge. There are managers who are able to gain access to a scarce resource in this space. If you think about a wind farm, the key is finding the right piece of real estate on which to locate that wind farm. If I find the optimal piece of real estate in Montana, and we are both using the same type of technologies, my parcel of land with that same technology should be more efficient than your parcel of land. I have access to a scarce resource. So I should be able to gain a higher return for my dollars invested versus you. So it is possible for individuals to gain informational advantages, access to scarce resources, and extract what we call alpha in kind of a shorthand way. So this space for me, environmental investing for me, is about alpha, not absolution. People will try to connect socially responsible investing and environmental investing, and as I said, there's no need to make that connection. I think, in fact, the conversations I have with CIOs, when you start mentioning socially responsible investing, you can see the eyes roll back in their head, the hands come across, and you begin to go down a slippery slope where you have to face definitional issues, and there's always definitional confusion on the SRI side. There's fiduciary issues. Well, I don't want to make a decision on an extra financial issue. It breaches my fiduciary duty. There's a number of other barriers. And as a result, people face these barriers and they miss these opportunities. As I said, this is a non-conforming risk. Environmental investing fits across your entire portfolio. It's not just a 3%, 5% allocation. It's not an SRI allocation. It's just another source of alpha in this environmental space.